Hello. Hey Zero. I forgot, well, I didn't forget. I'm tired and I wish I had realized the concept of, well, okay, what I wanted to do, I wanted to make these Notion planners because my friend's making them and I wanted to try them out. But I don't know if I even had the wherewithal to do that anyway. Right now, I'm pretty tired. I probably should just be relaxing, but I don't feel like I have time. Move your butt, Gigi. Your little butt. Okay, so I could do this. Oh my god. Or I could do this. I think this one's more important though. Is this the correct one? I think so, because yeah, this one they're not. Hi Gigi. Definitely sound tired. Oh, I sound tired. I hate when I sound tired. I mean, I feel like going to bed, but I'm having a cup of coffee. I just got done with my government homework, and I also listened to a podcast for government while I was cooking. And like cooking was, hi Charmius, just hopping in for a second. Cooking was worked not the best because a lot of my food is bad, mostly my vegetables. But I had some sausage, some onion, and some cherry tomatoes I roasted, and I'm making rice, but the rice isn't done yet, so I'm still a little hungry. But I ate a bunch of the sausage and stuff because I was so hungry. Okay, so we're doing the flowers and the leaves specifically, which are driving me insane. I think I'm gonna have to make a little bit of a, like, make it a little easier with the flowers. I don't remember what kind of flowers are supposed to be like springing from his ribcage. Let me look at actually, let me look at this. Where are the pink flowers? Okay. Yeah, there are none down here, so that's all that's important. Adjust glasses. Gigi is literally sitting in front of my tablet, my big tablet, which is what I have I wonder if it is wisteria that's in his ribcage. Also, it looks more like phlox or something, though. I don't know. But Gigi is blocking me from seeing chat, so give me a second. I can just put it in front of me, I guess. Or over here, yeah. Hi, oh yeah. Gosh, I hate when food goes off. I try hard to make sure stuff gets used up, but the vegetables go so quick sometimes. Yeah, it was the veggies. The veggies got me. I bought, and also like it was just the quality of the vegetables I wasn't happy with. Like I've never seen carrots go like weird. These weren't moldy or anything, but like they had like a bunch of white stuff on them, like where the roots were growing out, and I was like, bro, I've had these for like a week, so I'm not getting vegetables from there again. I think this isn't their first sin on that one. Uh, so I think I'm just gonna get my produce, except for apples. Their apples are fine. The bananas. Anything complicated, I think I can get somewhere else. Even the the little like cherry tomatoes I used were a little off, but I was like, I'm willing to eat these. I don't care. They didn't look moldy. I was just like, they just taste a little bad. It probably won't make me sick. And if it does, then guess what we've learned. How are you doing today? I don't like Gigi on my desk right now because it makes me feel like he's gonna step on my iPad. And that would be very unfortunate. Let me look at the colors as well. He's currently just crouched beside it, which is actually kind of adorable. I didn't vent to anyone today, did I? Except my therapist. Which is the perfect person to vent to, don't get me wrong. I just realized I was having like a moment earlier. I don't remember if I told anybody. I've been very active in the server, which I'm kind of surprised by. But I think I'm gonna drop off eventually when I can't stop being able to keep up. And then that time I will have to make someone else also a mod. I said I would make my coworkers mods, and I just haven't yet because I don't think either of them know how to use Discord very well, and I didn't really want them to fuck it up. Not to be rude, but I've seen how people at school use Discord, and I was just like, I don't know if I feel confident in your ability yet. Not to like misclick something. One of them I kind of trust, I guess. I don't know how well these two use Discord actually. I've never like had to ask them or seen them use it, so I'm mostly thinking of hi Flora Lion. I'm mostly thinking of how one of my other friends at school used the club Discord and struggled with it, and so I was just like, I'm just having flashbacks, I think. Yeah, he's goopy. I like Goopy. Goopy is fun. I guess they're kind of like hydrangeas. Okay. It's looking amazing. Thank you. It's a sticker for the Donathon on the 12th, which is my birthday. I just realized I might have to cancel therapy that day. And I just talked to my therapist, and neither of us really... I thought about it a little bit. I was like, maybe I can just take a break. And then I was like, no, I probably should cancel or something. I don't know. Or we should move it to Saturday like we did this week. I'll ask her, actually, if we can move it to Saturday. I posted this in the new group server I made for me and my friends, and someone asked me what the components like were, and I was just like, I told them that this is like a Hi Beagle, Nox, MFN, Lucent, hello Beagle. I told them sticker, that's exciting. Yeah, it's a sticker, and it'll possibly be other things. We'll see. It would be the way I'm gonna do it would be pretty easy to make it other things, but for the Donathon, it'll only be 2 or 3 things. I really like the design though, so I'm probably gonna use it quite a bit. If it comes out well, I guess I should say. Because what if it doesn't come out well? I'm so afraid! I don't know why these flowers keep coming out with only 4 petals, but well. I think Gigi got fed up with me, he walked away. I was like, what did I do wrong, Bebo? I wasn't even bothering you for once. I was completely fine with you being on my desk for once. Aren't amazing? Just gotta trust the process. I'd never trust... I never trust the process when it's like for me. Like when it's for other people, I'm like, yeah, I gotta trust the process. Where'd people go? I don't know where he just went, but well, oh well. Oh, I can put this back over here now in its usual spot. remember to save. I actually have no idea how to save on Procreate. I just think it auto saves. But I can do this. I know that saves it. Oh wait, look at this little truffle sticker I made. I made punk truffles for Halloween, I guess. I don't know. But he looks cute. I like how he came out. I might remove the bats if I want to make him a sticker, actually. Which he is a sticker, so I probably should remove some of the bats. At least this one out here. I can't show you guys. I'm out of layer space. 22 layers for each. Okay. I want to duplicate it because I kind of want to save the progress because they were very cute. I'm trying to write on it. I don't know if that's gonna work. Merged. Wow, my handwriting is good. Hell yeah, let's go. You can understand my handwriting. Punkles. Oh, it does autosave. I wasn't sure what program you were on. Okay, okay. Hi, radio. I don't really know what happened to the reference, but maybe it's because I duplicated it. I don't know, anyway. And this one I will also take one of the bats off of. Even though I feel like he balances it out a little bit. I'll take you. I'll get rid of you. Oh, actually, the bats kind of look cool without the lines. Hold on, we've made a discovery. Yeah, the bats look cool without the lines. Let's get rid of the lines for bats. I was on Instagram, I think it was last night, and I almost bought these headband things. They're not like special, they're like $10 and they're just like really wide headbands because I've never tried those before. And I don't think my hair is long enough for them. I still wanted them and I was so close to purchasing them with my $27 that I have into my name. That's how you know it's mental illness. Where's the rather, hold on. Oh, they're there. Actually, maybe I could move it. Move it. Oh. But I was on like so my favorite aesthetic is like earthy, which is like black girl or guy hippie is really all I can describe it as. So that's my favorite aesthetic right now. So I was looking at inspo and it involves a lot of like beads that I don't have. Not beads like I need to make beaded jewelry, just beaded jewelry that I don't have right now. I've never actually had a lot. Yeah, there is one necklace. Where the fuck is that? There's like this one that I got from Hawaii. I like the Hawaii ones a lot because I'm a tropical dude, you know. I'm from Florida, so I get to say that. Hee hee. My family's from the Caribbean. Hee hee. I get to claim being tropical. Even though I've spent most of my life away from the tropics now, which I hate. It's not of my own volition, I promise. It's because of poverty. It's real expensive near the tropics. Ugh, but I love the tropics so much. It's either dangerous or really expensive near the tropics, or both. For me, probably both. God, I love the way that I gotta say, for colors, I love the way the iPad like mixes colors. I think I said this yesterday already, but oh, it's so cool. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where to put the rest of the flowers that are like in his ribcage. I guess this is a good spot right here. I don't know why, but this song kind of just reminds me of the earthy aesthetic. I guess it's like got like that R&B sound. It is soothing. It is soothing. I'm going to like it. I don't know some of the songs that are going to be coming up because we're on a radio, Spotify radio, even though Spotify is evil. Yes, I know I haven't fully acclimated to SoundCloud yet. Give me a chance. I know. It's hard being like, what's the word? Ethical. It's hard being ethical all the time, especially when you work 2 jobs and go to school. Sometimes being ethical is really fucking hard because it takes a lot of energy. What's wrong with Spotify? Oh, there's Nox fully having a conversation with self live on stream. Me? That's every day. What do you mean? You said that as if that's unusual. It's me every day. Spotify is funding AI military robots. I wish that was a joke. I'm pretty sure they're AI. Either way, they're military like drones. Which it's how could that ever be used in a improper way? How could that ever go wrong? But yeah, the CEO, I think it's the CEO or yeah, I think it's the CEO is funding that shit, and I was just like, oh, it's all over social media. Not all over. I should say nothing is all over social media. Gross, yeah. It's so cute. Like, I love SoundCloud because they have a term in their COS that lets them use your music for AI training. Went to Tidal for now. Oh my god, Tidal's actually getting used. Isn't that by Beyonce and Jay-Z? Dang, I had no idea about Spotify. See, this is why we gotta talk about these things, because I assume, like, if I see it like 5 times on my feed, I assume everyone's seeing it. But no, just like some people don't know that AI is terrible for the environment and uses up a ridiculous amount of water. I learned it from Red Means Recording. I don't know who Red Means Recording is. I will say. Is that a YouTube channel? It sounds YouTube channel-y. I don't know why. Why do I end up in so much pain when I'm drawing, though, for real? I probably need more ibuprofen, because I had taken some earlier. I probably need more again. This is the downside of me doing my hair, is it causes me to be in pain. And I don't need unnecessary pain, but I want to be cute. My therapist noticed my hair today. I was like, oh my god, thank you. I didn't say that, but that's how I felt. He's a YouTuber and music producer. Also gay and furry, so I stand. Oh, cool. Red Means Recording. We stand the furry content creators. Hold on. I have a lot of YouTubes open. Red Means Recording. Okay. Okay, Red. Interesting. I'll have to... Oh, a history of techno. Ooh. Ooh, that looks interesting. Okay. I'll leave this open. Hopefully I come back to it. Actually, well, it was the history of techno. I think I'll like that one so I can go back to it later. Or what is it? Add to watch later? Yeah. Add to watch later. Or Q or whatever. I don't fucking know. Are you a furry radio? Hold on. Oh, I wish I could say I was gay, but I'm just like, I'm bi. I don't get to use the full-on gay label. But I get the full trans label, so I guess, you know, it is what it is. Oh, no, question mark? Oh, that was me for years, no question mark on being a furry. What was I gonna say? I kept going back and forth because I felt my peers, my colleagues were going to judge me, like especially closer to the anime side of Twitch. But now furries are pretty like solidified on Twitch, so I guess it's like it doesn't matter either way. What was I gonna say? Oh, let me tell you about this podcast I listened to today for the government that I didn't like, which is weird because I usually like the stuff this professor puts out. I think this is like the second thing I haven't liked from him between this semester and last semester. There was one thing last semester I didn't like. The reason I didn't like it was just too watery. And when I say watery, what I mean is it was holding like there were some good points, right? Let me there were some good points. Chili, if you are listening to this, stop listening and go listen to it yourself. Sorry, that's because Chili's in my class. Um but what's I gonna say? It was kind of watered down in that like I totally believe that, morally not morally, but like that fundamentally both the right and the left should be able to sit down and talk out their differences. I totally believe in that, right? But there were some things that they said that made it sound like both sides could be held accountable on the same level, and I guess that's what I didn't fully agree with, because on one side there's literally like, I don't know, slavery and a bunch of shit, and on the other, and then they're also like really big on traditional values, which often come back to slavery, and on the other, and racism, and on the other side you have liberals, which are kind of just like all bark no bite most of the time. I should probably educate myself on this more. I'm sure the liberals have done bad things, but I just don't know if something they've done that's been that bad in America, right? I'm like, yeah, I could say problematic. Can I really say problematic for conservative? No, I can't leave it at that. I wish I could. I wish I could say they're just traditional Christians. They're just stuck in their ways, and that would be fine. It would be cute. The more I educate myself and learn about this stuff, the more I'm like, okay, I can't leave it at that being, it's not cute. I'm sorry. Like, I understand you have like, you have your traditional Christian values, and on some level I can respect that. But like the part where you like want people to either be subordinate to you or not exist, I don't know. That's a little hard for me. And it was also talking about liberalism kind of being very, at least in America, being very associated with being okay with change and like wanting that change to happen quickly. And I was just sitting there reading it, and I was like, okay, but yes, in fact, it's to the point I'm so far left that I learned that I was a radical today. And I was like, I didn't know I was a radical, but then again, my parents are kind of radical, so that makes sense. But it just means you want speedy change in the system, and I was like, homie, yes, I would like change in the system. People be dying out here. We need health care. What do you mean I want it's strange, it's radical to want speedy change in the system? I'm like, homie, you've been seeing what's going on outside? Yeah, I'd love if we could speed this shit up a little bit. Yeah, no, that'd be great. Moves at a fucking snail's pace. For me, college in the last few years was liberal and leftist radical to leftist liberal to leftist radical speedrun. I guess so, it's me, but I've always been radical. In fact, I think college is making me slightly less radical. Radical is wanting for people to not be dying. Yeah, and to not want to not die yourself. And the podcast was also saying that like, like liberals and conservatives both feel like the other side hates them like in like vehemently, right? And I was like, and it's apparently not true. Like they don't, for the most part, they don't hate each other. But I really, the whole time I was listening to this podcast, I was like, did they only survey white men in this survey? Because like y'all be saying some things, and I got questions. I have so many questions. Like I literally might sit down. It was a social psychologist. I literally might sit down and read his fucking paper, because I'm just like, sir, which hasn't been published yet. And I'm just sitting here like, sir, well, at the time of the podcast, sir, some of this sounds extremely biased, and like you didn't get like a good sample of the population, because I I don't think that people hate each other as much as we think they do, right? I don't think that. But on some things, the entire point seems to hate people based on things they cannot change about themselves. So I don't know. I feel a little split on that. Like I'm definitely the person that will sit down with a conservative and have a debate. We'll have a conversation. I am not against that if they will sit and talk to me. So I'm not someone that's like, oh my god, conservatives are so stupid and they cannot be reasoned with. I'm not that bitch. But I gotta say, man, some of the things they believe are just like actually have or will get people harmed, like physically. And I was just like, bruh, what? Being radical is yeah. Being radical is wanting positive change and also being willing to commit to making that change. I guess, like, I don't know, man. What the article he chose, or what he, I don't know if he wrote it himself or what, but there was an article and it said that radicalism is on the left and reactionism, whatever, is on the right. And he said that both radicalism and reactionism lead to very similar types of societies, because like there's like the line that puts them on opposite spectrums, and then there's a circle, and the circle, it's a circle with an opening between reactionary and radical, or radical and reactionary, because they lead to similar societies. And I was just like, all right, you gonna back this up? Did not back it up with any evidence or source, so I could, find some examples to read more about this. So I was a little peeved on that. I don't know. I'm a little disappointed in this way. It just felt a little too catering to the conservative side a little bit to me. But I might be biased on that. I had productive conversations with conservative coworkers before because I somehow found the one common point in the haystack. No, like on a personality level, I know I can have similar what's the word? Have things in common with a conservative on a base level of humanity, right? But especially because like I'm from a rural place, and I've learned that apparently conservatism is really big on community. And I was like, oh, I love that concept, except y'all do not implement it well at all. That is like the only thing I'd love to snatch from y'all's little book is like community and like being involved in your local government, all that. I'd love to snatch that from y'all's little book. The rest of it I could just throw away. What if they had very, very strong feelings about it, though? They care about those, right? I guess I don't. Hi, how do you say that again? It's like rubu. It's like a flower, but it's not quite that. Robo Oasis. I got it. I was thinking of the flower, which is like Rubusis or something. I don't remember. Robo Oasis. Yeah, I got it. I don't go to Chick-fil-A because of their anti-LGBT stuff. Coworker whose family are farmers stopped going to McDonald's for a long time because McDonald's screwed over farmers once. Oh, that's cool. Ruibus. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, there's one called Ruibus. I think it's like hibiscus or something. They care about community as long as that community conforms to a very specific set of ideals of individually. Okay. How I would word it is they care about community as long as everyone in the community is like them to about 75% of the way. Rubus isn't hibiscus? Okay, sorry. I don't know what rubus is. My bad. But yeah, like they love community and they love church, right? So if you're all from the same church and you all have very specific similar ideals and you're all white cishet people, they love community. And I'm just like, okay, if we could just take y'all's idea of community and expand it a little bit, we would literally be on the same page. Hi, Emotional Taz. Like, they really worry about morality and social order. But listen to this. Hold on. There is a specific note I have to tell y'all that I thought was ridiculous. Okay? Is it... Okay, was it from the podcast? Oh, maybe it was from the podcast, in which case I may have not written it down. No, I think I remember writing it, though. I remember writing it. All right. So the podcast was making this point about both sides being it was honestly kind of silly, but it was making the point that both sides are very afraid of harm from the other side. And I was like, yeah, no, I totally know that for some reason conservatives somehow think that liberals can harm them, even though I don't know, they're the ones with all the guns and the political power, but whatever. A little paranoid, but whatever. Thank you for I think the hydrate, yeah. But the point that it made was what harms do liberals emphasize and what harms do conservatives emphasize, right? Liberals emphasize harms to the environment, members of disadvantaged groups, right? Conservatives emphasize harms to social orders, quote unquote, protectors of society like police, religious entities like God, or the Bible. And I 2 out of 3 of those things are not physical things. Right? Like, I'm not insane, right? Like, the environment, that's a physical thing. Disadvantaged groups, those are human beings. You're emphasizing harms to social order, which is an idea, and religious entities like God and the Bible, which are also ideas. Just a slight difference between those categories. Just a slight difference! Just a slight difference. I'm like, some of these things are tangible and some of these things are intangible. And I think that might be why y'all sound crazy to some people. Right? Like, I understand to you it's tangible, right? But that is a little illogical. Like, I am, you guys know I'm a spiritual person. I'm 100% like, yeah, your spirituality, your beliefs, all those things are important. Morality, I'm all for that. I'm all for all of that. But some of these things there's different categories, right? And sometimes you have to be like, damn, maybe I really should go with what I can physically see, hear, smell, and taste. I don't know, man. Like, I understand faith. I understand the concept of faith. And I still look at y'all and I'm like, damn, that's a little crazy, though. That's a little insane. Like, thinking that how can something harm, first of all, how can something harm God? How can not even the devil can harm God? How can anything harm God? How can anything harm the Bible? Is it not God's word? How? I don't know, bro. Like, I have so many questions. So many questions, man. I'm like, how are you trying to protect God and the Bible when they are not physical, tangible? Like, the Bible, okay, the Bible is technically a tangible item, right? But in essence, what they're protecting is not the physical piece of paper it's written on, it's the word, which to me is not a tangible item. It's an idea. It's a concept. They don't take much of anything seriously in any sense that actually does anything but harm. I try my best to be very open-minded, even though I don't have to be. I'm not the side that needs to be more open-minded, but I try to be open-minded because I know that's the only way that people will have conversations with me, right? Like, if I go in there with hatred in my heart, and they have hatred in their heart, we won't get anywhere. If only one of us has hatred in our hearts, perhaps we can get somewhere. Perhaps. Most likely not still, but if I can make an inch of progress with you, I'll suffer for it a little bit. I will. Yeah, but like, and that's just me. I'm not putting that on anyone else, that no one has to do that. I don't even know. I know I don't even have to do that. But I just, I think that was extremely biased, and I think he did that to kind of curry favor with the conservatives in class, because I know he's not like this. But I was mildly offended. I was like, homie, like, but he did this at the start of last semester too, where he like tried to curry favor with the conservatives. Plus, I'd say their actions are blasphemies towards God anyways. Yeah, true. People are deaf, complex creatures capable of incredible emotional change. I 100%, like to hold out the hope that some people can see that some things they're doing are fucked up. Also, excuse me, the podcast mentioned, or the podcast or the story mentioned something about trans people, because we're always in their mouths for some reason. I do not understand why. But it said something about trans healthcare for children. It did not say anything about how they feel about trans healthcare for adults, even though that is something they actively are always affecting. And I was just like, okay, so only the children exist to you, and when we become adults, it's like we evaporate into air, kind of like autistic people. You know, like once we become adults, we evaporate. Obviously, we stop existing. We're either functional or we're not functional, and that's it. That's all. Sorry, I'm actually really on a high horse right now. I shouldn't be so high on a horse. But I was offended. I was offended. I can't deny that I was offended because it didn't sound truthful to me. And it also talked about something called moral humility. You know. Oh, hi, Nekula! Bitch, I was gonna raid you.
Nekula just
I don't know how long you were streaming, though, so that makes sense. Hello, welcome in. Hi, we're having political conversations because I just did government class. Thank you for shouting out Nekula0. You were doing art. Would you like to share some art tags? I am drawing this, which you can't see right now, but soon. I love that Give Us Your Bones was not allowed. Hi, Ronnie is me. Oh no, Autumn, sorry. I can't believe Autumn cared about that. Hello, sorry if I slammed in the middle of a convo. No, you're okay, you're okay. Here's my best and care always about something. Ignorance is bliss. We all do it in some way, though. Damn, Robo, that was cold. I just read that. But hello, how was your stream? The ones always got caught. The art looking good. Thank you. Oh my god, all your emotes are cute. Thank you for the follow. I also don't know what we're listening to. This person came up before too. I remember this weird album cover. Oh, I don't know. Automod discriminatory against gnolls, snapjaws, and people who like bones. Hi, Kilobitten. Kilobitten? Which one? Kilobitten or Kilobitten? Thank you for the follow. I was talking about the oh yeah, I'm sorry, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Nox, I'm a digital illustrator. My pronouns are he, they. I'm transmask. I usually don't put that in the intro, but I'm transmask. I put it on my tags now. I stream on the weekends. I am a psychology student. We like cute girls psychology and witchy things like astrology here. It's pronounced both ways. Typically, it can be pronounced 4 ways. Kilobyte 10. Okay, I've got 3 of the ways. Kilobitten. Hey, fellow psychology transmass nerd. Yes, I love psychology. However, we were talking about I should show you guys the rest of my art, but I'm kind of feeling lazy. What do I have on the iPad? I don't always draw on the iPad. That's not what I clicked, but alright, iPad. We got coffee comms. Draw a lot of furries. Thank you for the follow. This is Jan's big titty character here. What's this? We also have dog bones on the side because I literally was using those for reference, so don't judge me too hard. Oh wait, no, you guys like bones, never mind. You want art tags? I was doing some finishing clothing touches for a Life 2D model stuff. Yes, I want art tags. Absolutely. I'm sorry if I didn't ask. I thought I did, but maybe it was a minute ago. I don't have anything super great on here. Oh wait, there's this. This one's alright. It's not done, but it's alright. You did ask for art tax. You did. I was just being weird and asking again. No, it's okay. I do that all the time too. Like if too much time has gone by, I will definitely be like, "Are you sure you wanted art tax? Like, did I hear that right?" Alright, let's hide iPad, and then I can also show you this, which is another thing, because this is for the donathon. Not this. The thing I was drawing when you came in, that's for the donathon. This is also for the donathon. That's on September 12th, my birthday. Also, being afraid of harm is not an excuse to have unreasonable hatred and to be unreasonably violent towards people. Alright, hold on. We will get back to that in a second. First, we'll look at this. Oh my god, I love the chains. Did you do these chains, or are they, like... examines your chains real quick. Oh, the hair looks like it's so cute. I can barely see it. What is this outfit? Is this like a leotard? You know my bad spelling? No, you're fine. This is very cute. I can't wait to see this moving because your creature, I don't remember what it is. I don't remember if it gives axolotl, but I think it's a dragon. Your creature is so cute. I love how it's rigged. Once down on the thigh were brushed. Then on the neck I was like, fuck it and redraw it. Oh, I'll redraw it. Yeah, because I was looking at the shading and I was like, thank you for the follow. I was looking at the shading and I was like, that looks like you actually drew it, possibly. I was like, hold on, why would you do that to yourself? Hello, I saw your art. Thank you. This is not my art. This is Nekua's art right here. We are looking at an art tax. Yes, a leotard with shorts. What the fuck? Shorts over it. Okay, brain. Or mouth, whichever one of you that was. I did render the shading on the chains below too, but I might redraw them and no. Oh, okay, I see. I didn't look too closely because I got the follow. This one's for a friend. And the mention of the animal with the skull. Oh, thank you. This one's for the friend Scoodles Doodles, who has like 100 fucking models, and I look forward to seeing them rig this one up. Oh, Nikki is an amazing artist. Yes. Alright, big agree. Big agree. I'm sorry. Okay, so I do like the rendering on the leotard. I can only kind of see these shorts. They are too divided up. But the chains, I can judge the chains, and the chains are very beautiful. No, you. My own OC is a cat with a skull mask of a raven, so I feel that's cool. Oh, look at the little character over here. Very cute. Oh, so they're gonna have thigh highs too, I imagine. And sockies? Yeah. It's all fucky since it's chopped up. Oh, I know that feeling though, because I have chopped up them. So yeah, I know how that gets. It gets hard to display for anyone to understand. But it looks good so far. Previous one I did art for Scoots. Oh sure. I will definitely always accept more Neku art. Also, I don't know what we're listening to because we're listening to a I actually like this one. We're listening to a radio mix from Spotify, which yes, we have already established is evil and funds military robots. Maybe I should just like say that every time I'm listening to Spotify. And or mention every time Spotify is mentioned, I should say, by the way, they fund AI military drones, and so maybe then that will counteract some of the money they're getting from me listening to their shit. Um, could give Pandora. Oh my god, Pandora, bruh. That's like 15 years ago for me. Some people were recommending Tidal since apparently SoundCloud also uses AI. So, yeah, I need to switch off, but I got family and need to push the others onto other stuff. Yeah. The algorithm, in my opinion, is worse now, but I still use it to find new music. Oh my god, that's wild. I kind of want to do Tidal, but I don't know how much that costs, and I don't know if it's like substantial enough for me to move yet. Some folks wrecked what? Kobas? Kobas? What's that? I don't even know what that is. Kobas. AI for music recommendations, that's like normal. No, AI for like they use your music to train AI. What do they like? I guess my big question with this one, the QO buzz, whatever, is like what like do they have every like all the popular music on it? Do they get those licenses because they're smaller? So I guess that's what I'm like. Yeah, for tagging, like it's like the point of it. No, not for tagging. I don't think. I don't know. I just heard it from radio a second ago. I don't know anything more about it. Show a decent amount of popular stuff, but if it's real niche, then it's harder. Ah, okay. See, that's like what I liked about SoundCloud is it had popular and niche stuff. I don't know. The world's crumbling and it's all evil. Anyway, I lost where the art I was trying to find was. Oh, okay. It's okay. If you find it later, feel free to share it. I will go back to my iPad drawing. And we can continue the conversation that we had paused. Where Taz said, also being afraid of harm is not an excuse to have unreasonable hatred and to be unreasonably violent towards people. The argument that the podcast was making was that everyone is afraid of like harm, and that causes people often to be like violent in a self-protection type of way, which I think is usually where violence comes from, is like you feel like you're protecting yourself or others. I don't disagree on that. I think it's extremely irrational now, the reasons they feel they are in danger. Perhaps they think the way I feel endangered is irrational, but I feel like mine is probably based on a little bit more on statistical science and history. But they would argue that that has been radicalized, so I don't know where. It's difficult to argue with them when they think that stated facts are not real. So that's got to be a really paranoid life to live. Like I've lived close to that life before. It's a really bad way to live. I wouldn't do it. That's why they have to live only on faith, is because, like, bruh, you're afraid everything is out to get you. And that's a terrifying life to live. I gotta give it to you. Like, life is already, like, not life, but, like, people are already kind of technically out to get me. And I spend enough time with agoraphobia, I couldn't be them. I couldn't do it. I'd never leave the house. I guess I can see why you'd build an arsenal and never, like, go to the city where there's a lot of people. Because, like, that's insanity, man. But no, I'm not saying, and the podcast also wasn't justifying things, but they were babying them a little bit more than I would have, and I already baby them a lot. Conservatives, I mean. It was just like making it sound like it was an equal playing field, I guess. And so was the thing that he made me read as well. And I think he was trying to kind of warm up the conservative kids. Or the kids with conservative parents, probably. Like, they're teenagers, they don't really have political views, probably. Especially if you're not radicalized. But, like, the things that the liberals were interested in were, like, workers' rights, and, what was it? I don't remember. Like, just decent human being things, and then the I almost said communist or communitarian. The conservatives were more focused on, like, free market and economy, but the dichotomy between being focused on money and the free market and all that stuff, and, like, hands off government, right? But then also wanting the government to police people's lives more in a moral and social sense makes no sense to me. I'm like, homie, you're not good. I don't know how you're making this work in your head. Like, what do you mean you want the government to do nothing but everything at the same time? Right? Like, you want to live in a police state, but you don't want health care? How? I don't understand. Brainworms. The problem is that as long as you have examples of people in charge that don't face consequences for their actions, is like the cause too. Bruh, I don't understand. I'm just like, how? How do you? I don't understand the ideology of it, even. Right? Like, even on paper, if you're just like making the argument theoretically, I'm just like, wait, how are y'all even arguing this? This doesn't add up. Like, these two things are contradictory. Something remove critical thinking to control the masses. I already know that. We know that one already, but I'm just fucked up. And like like, the only thing I would say that is kind of contradictory on the liberal side would be the opposite of not wanting, like, the government to control you socially and morally, but wanting a lot of kind of government intervention otherwise. But that feels less like ridiculous to me, because I don't know, like, there's no reason to expect the government to police you, like, socially and morally if you're not basing it on religion, right? I find they think the things you find nonsensical are the inverse for them, like climate or workers' right, are to them absurd and nebulous as economics. Or as absurd and nebulous as economics. I don't know that I wouldn't even call economics absurd because I don't know enough about it. But I can see how it would like not make sense. But I don't even think like, okay, no, they do not think workers' rights are absurd and nebulous because if you ask them a question like, okay, say someone got injured on the job, do they deserve any amount of workers' comp, disability, or even medical leave? And I think most people are going to be like, well, it'd be nice if they had that, right? Unless there's a business owner or something like that, the average working class person that I've met in the South is like, yeah, you should get that. The you got hurt on the job. That makes sense, right? Or should your job be able to work you 70 hours a week, and if you don't do that, then they hire someone else? Should that be how it is? Like things like that. They're going to enact on that though. That's just being agreeable. No, that's not being agreeable. That is literally workers' rights. Right? So I'm just like, if you think you don't like workers' rights, it's because you don't know the things that you've become accustomed to are also workers' rights, right? Like things that they've become accustomed to, like fucking apparently Social Security. I didn't realize they didn't have that until the crash of Wall Street in what night? I think it was the Great Depression. It was either the Panic of 1913 or something, or the Great Depression, either one. We didn't have Social Security before then. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, so would you like to not have Social Security? If you don't want government handouts, would you not like your child to have the Pell Grant, and would you not like Social Security? Those are government handouts, right? Like the government takes the money and they give it out to people that need them, or like, if you've paid money into the government from your job and things like that, which taxes to me are basically the same thing. It's like I'm paying money into the government for the government to give me shit later. But they don't see it that way. And I'm just like, bruh. Like you don't want healthcare. The concept of I don't want universal healthcare is, well, if we give the healthcare to everyone, it'll just be low quality because everything the government makes is low quality. There is such a concept that everything the government does is low quality here, and I'm like, do you guys realize that's because you don't give money to the government, so the government has nothing to work with? I guess what I'm trying to say is that they think things are far less serious than you do, like they would call you a pessimist or something. No, liberals are considered idealists in political ideology. That's the fucked up part. We are considered the idealists because we have the concept that humans we're more on the side of humans are, like naturally good rather than naturally evil, I guess is the easiest way to say it. We're more on the concept of, oh, if we didn't have all this turmoil, we could just get along and hold hands and have or like, what's it called? Utopia. And conservative ideology is no. Humans will always be bad and greedy and evil, and that's why we need social order. I'm sorry, I'm reciting what I learned today. They did it with power providers, privatized, they lobbied the shit out of it, decaying prices, and ended up being worse than it was before. Privatized. I don't know what that. I don't have enough background on that to know what you're talking about. But I don't understand why you wouldn't. I'm so confused. Here, electricity and gas providers from the state. Oh, when I was a kid, I thought electricity and like phone and stuff were just like run by the government because that made sense to me as a kid. Like I thought ambulances were government vehicles and all that, and then I grow up and I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me this is all owned by a company? Why? Why? That doesn't make sense. Like, why? Why would you want to make a profit off of these things? So as I said, I've been radical since I was a child. I've been very radical, but I didn't realize I was radical today. I was like, I didn't know just like wanting for change makes you radical. I was like, well, that's kind of asinine. Why do they act like radicalism is bad if it's just wanting a change? But then they make a quote like this. Hold on, I have to say this quote because it was so ridiculous to me. As someone who is apparently radical, right? This was ridiculous to me. This was the most propaganda ass sentence I've ever heard. Hold on, where is it? I was like, this doesn't make sense. I have to go back to government. Radicalism is rad. That's in the name, I mean. Oh my god. They think a profit motive results in the best outcome. It's an emotional attachment, in my opinion. Why is it so hard to change the belief? Okay. I think it's because, like, as I said, like, they have that pessimistic view of people that they will only work in their own best self-interest, and like liberals are more like, oh well, if we are not always starving and hungry and tired, we'll help each other. Conservatives are like, no, people are always going to be selfish and greedy and will only be motivated if you tell them there's something to work for. Whereas liberalism, radicalism, or whatever is more like, yeah, people will work if there's a point in working, right? If they want to work, they enjoy this type of work, they will just do it. And that is like a fundamental like ideology difference, which I can understand. I can understand that is not something that has been proven either way, right? Like you can't prove whether or not people will or won't work. It depends on the person. But hold on, let me get this article up. The one that said the really ridiculous thing about radicalism. Okay. Like I was like, if radical means what you're saying, right? The quote was, let me see. It was at the end, right? Or maybe it wasn't. Yes. Not there. Oh, where was it? It had to do with a train station. Was it this? Well, maybe it wasn't this article. Maybe it was another one, actually. Give me a second. I'm gonna find it. Because I was like, this is so bad, dude. Like, what? This is desperate. Okay. A formal advisor of Franklin D. Roosevelt's, Rexford Tugwell, skillfully uses the example of a community's need for a new train station to illustrate the difference between liberals and radicals. I have to actively slow myself down. Liberals would like to rebuild the station while the trains are running. Radicals prefer to blow up the station and forego service until the new structure is built. And then one might add that conservatives would prefer to keep the old station, being satisfied with it, while reactionaries would abandon the station entirely since they do not approve of trains in the first place. All of those made sense to me, except the blow up the station. Like, I know it's like a metaphor, but I felt like radical and blow something up together are just like so ridiculous if radical just means change. I was just like, man, that's why is that the most extreme example in this? I mean, the reactionaries not using the train, yeah, that kind of makes sense actually. I was like, I can't even fault you on that one. Calling them basically Amish doesn't sound about wrong. Because reactionaries are more like they're not just trying to hold things how they are; they're trying to actively go back into the past. And I'm just like, you know what? No, I get that. There's a convo similar to this around religion that was like Christian folks couldn't fucking believe people would protest without incentive because they wouldn't. Wow. Some people are. It's the fact they can avoid hard work, they will. It's more about percentages. Like not everyone is an a-hole. If they are not, it works anyway. Okay. I have this idea that apparently is socialist and I didn't know. It's the same idea that I had eloquently heard written in Eugene V. Debs' letter or whatever earlier this week. But I've always had this idea. The concept that people are not naturally lazy and that if someone literally wants to do nothing, there is something wrong why they want to do nothing. For like I'd say 80 to 90% of the population, everyone wants to do something. The only problem is when you're forcing them to do a type of work they don't like or don't have any interest in. Some people genuinely like gardening and farming. Let them farm. Some people genuinely like staying inside all day and reading books. Let them read the books. And I think the assumption is that some people like manual labor is like lowly and most people will avoid it, and I'm like, no, some people like actively like their entire thing is just exercise. What do you mean everyone's gonna hate manual labor? Like, yeah, it's hard, but so is like educated, like, what would you call it? Academics. There we go. So as academics, they're both difficult. They just use different parts of your body. Like, the only reason I wouldn't want to do manual labor is because, like, historically I hurt myself doing it. That is my thing. But I also grew up like really weak and sickly. I was the sickly Victorian child. I am not made for manual labor. Some people are physically like naturally strong, and I'm like, bruh, go do the thing, man. Like if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But I think some people do. It's not that they don't want to do nothing. It's more about having stuff for the better of the collective and not what you like to do, and not everyone, of course. Let me stay at home and play video games, but also make really, really, really queer comics. Exactly. I think you're contributing to society doing that. I think you're 100% contributing. Not everyone wants to I think everyone wants a creative outlet, but I think some people, like, if we didn't have the need to make hundreds of things that are actually kind of useless now, like, I don't know, a dining chair, right? If we just used antiques, we made things last as long as they used to, you wouldn't need to make 100 dining chairs a day or anything, right? So let people whittle away at something, like craftsmanship. People enjoy that shit. It feels meaningful. I'm definitely of the thought process that, yeah, if you have meaningful work, people will want to do it. Not working in a factory with shitty conditions. No one wants to do that shit because it's horrible for you. Welding, I don't know how much people hate welding. Welding is one of those things where I'm just like, it's kind of craftsmanship, kind of machinery. I'm gonna leave them to that. But a lot of things are like enjoyable because like they're work to some people, but just like enjoyable to others. Like talking people out their problems. For me, that's not work. For other people, that's draining. Okay, but real talk. As someone who's done group trainings in MMOs, I can absolutely tell you that teaching people how to play a video game and how to get better is absolutely a skill that is underrated. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I can't play video games very well, so I know that's a skill, and I know that people, like, underestimate gamer knowledge, and that there's inherent things that people that grew up playing a lot of video games know how to do that some game developers don't even realize that they need to tell people how to do, because not everyone grew up playing video games. Pretty much as I could get paid teaching people how to play video game. You can if you're like, it's a competitive game. But a lot of people wish they could be paid playing video games, right? But I think part of that is also because our world is one that's shitty enough that you want to dissociate from it to begin with. Like, how do I say this? I think entertainment and video games and things like that are good, but I feel like they shouldn't be things you only want to do all day. Nothing should be something you only want to do all day, even if you're a workaholic. That's not healthy. Like, I shouldn't want to sit and draw all day. But and I don't most of the time. I like to like go out and talk to people. Um but I think if it's like the only thing you want to do at all times, that is an issue regardless of what it is, right? If you wanted to stay inside and read all day about, I don't know, whatever topic, and you never wanted to talk to anybody, that might be a concern. Things like that. You might just have that kind of like some kind of personality type that leads you to that. Past introversion, because introversion isn't just like that either, in my opinion. Introversion is like, I rather not talk to strangers a lot to me, rather than I don't want to see anyone for the next week at all. That's a little too much to me. But I don't know. I'm not fully psychologisted up yet, so I can't say for sure, but my hypothesis is you should want to at least be engaged in community of some kind. Now, if video games are your community, that makes sense as to why that's your focus, right? If we lived in a better world, I would hope you could find community in physical spaces as well. Sorry to pop up later on that, but radical comes from the root, so it's practically a synonym of fundamentalist, so I guess that's why it has weird connotations. It's something that doesn't really mean anything on its own. They were talking specifically in American politics, to be exact. You need me to be exact. It was specifically just what it means in American politics. I think there's like too many flowers. I'm gonna tone it down a bit. I think I want more space. More less leaves too. It's just too full of a space. And I think I'll just add more goop. Make it kind of layered. Yeah, I'm very much someone that's just like, I wish we could all get along, and I try to not hold anything against people that have hateful views towards me as much as I can. My problem is like with them just starts being like when they're in a place of authority and they start telling other people that the way that they are living or being themselves is incorrect. That's usually what triggers me. So like that pastor guy I talked to the other day, that triggered me because it was telling people that they're not okay just being themselves and that you can morally dictate what someone else's morality should be like, which, bruh, the concept that morality is flexible is apparently a liberal to radical ideal, right? I'm sorry, the concept that morality is not a hard and fast rule for everything is apparently a liberal concept. Some people think it can just be like I guess it makes sense, like the Ten Commandments are just a set of rules that you always follow to the T with no. Our society isn't even built like that, bro. Like, do you know, like every law is being interpreted in every single context. What do you mean you think morality is the fact? Oh wait, I mean, fair enough. Yeah, no, the concept, the concept that they would call it common sense. No, that's not common sense. Law is not common sense at all. If someone wrote out almost everything you have to do and you still have to, like, it's still up to the judge's interpretation, dude. That made me so mad. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean rigid morality is not like what how do you think that's fact? I thought everyone already knew morality like was moral relativism. There we go. I didn't realize that was a concept that wasn't like universally accepted. Moral relativism. Um, the idea that there's no universal or absolute set of moral principles. I didn't realize that that was a concept. I like much more the idea of natural law, but it's unfortunate we are not a hive mind. I generally think a lot of it stems from the denial of humans as innately emotional creatures and not logical ones. Bruh, no, it doesn't. Because every situation is different. It's so close-minded. I'm like, no, this is fundamentally where y'all are getting into an issue here. Is every situation is different, and you know what? I'm gonna have to bring it back to religion because I think the concept that you're supposed to follow a set of rules instead of listen to your intuition and your logic is what has y'all fucked up. That I think that's why that shook me so much, that conversation with that I don't know if he's a pastor or what. But that shook me so much. I was like, you're telling people not to listen to their gut feelings on anything ever. I can say if you're like, temper your expectations on what your gut feelings tell you, sure. But to say, you know what, I know that this thing is wrong or right in my heart, but you know what, this book says it's right or wrong, so I gotta listen to the book instead. And I'm like, what? What? Like a piece of paper, bruh? Bruh, what? Like every situation, every context is different. You kind of have to use your own judgment. That's why it's called a judge, dude. Like that's what I'm so confused. Yeah, because you don't want people stepping on others. Robo Oasis. Rules are not all for enforcing. There are also some that are for balancing irrational behavior that may happen. No. I'm not saying laws or rules are bad, personally. And I'm not saying like being an emotional creature is like, oh, we should only ever listen to our emotions, right? I don't think emotions even come into it for me. I'm just like, it's logical to me that every situation has a different context, and I'm just like, homie, if you can't listen to, because like intuition has its spiritual sense, but it also has a psychological sense of it's like your subconscious taking in more information than you can consciously and evaluating the situation in a way that you consciously don't understand why or how yet, because you've seen all these little micro expressions and nuances and all these little things that you're not consciously thinking about that also have an effect on how you like analyze a situation. And so I'm just sitting here like, bruh, I'm not denying logic. I'm denying a single person is capable of separating their emotions from the way they think. Oh, that's true. It's like you can break something that's not yours. There's a rule of what you should do then. Doesn't mean you're a criminal and you should be expelled from society. That's what I mean. But that it could mean that, right? If a law says that means your hand needs to be chopped off, then obviously, we have to listen to that law exactly, is basically what I'm saying these people are talking about. Instead of being like, maybe we should evaluate that. Maybe that's not up to date. We made that about 300 years ago. Maybe we should rethink that concept. Right? It's like, I still think it's bad, but maybe we don't have to do it that way. There's no concept of that, and that scares the shit out of me. I'm like, what? What? Anyway, I learned a new thing. Yeah, it's not the idea of law, it's about deciding a compromise. In those situations, usually the person doesn't get to compromise. It is about like what society as a whole decides is right to do with the person. If you break a law, you don't get to compromise and be like, well, actually, I think my sentence should be so and so. You don't get that decision. No one gives you that decision in almost any society. It's so I'm just like, yeah, no, you don't get to decide. And I get that. But I think when you're making the decision of what to do with someone that has broken a law or rule, yes, you should have some standards set, but like it depends on whether or not they broke a pen or a like $1 million vase that's irreplaceable, right? That's like 500 years old or some shit. Like it decides. If you just write in the law, someone breaks something, we reject them from society forever, and you assume people are gonna have common sense, they won't. They'll just use it depending on how they feel and not on what would match the context. And then they'll tell people, oh well, the book said it had to be this way. Instead of being like, personally, I believe, Except in penal, it's called a settlement. Penal is different because it's not only against a person, but it causes distress to the all. And we can, of course, accept in penal, it's called a settlement. Wait. I don't know what a settlement... I know what a settlement is in some context, but not in this context. And I don't fully know what penal means. Oh, do you mean like small claims court? Is that what you're thinking of with settlement? Not to mention, a lot of cases theft is a result of individuals' needs or someone they know's needs are not being met. Insecure food source. Yeah. That's big what I think about with theft a lot. It's that, or it's like I can see it also being like someone has something that you don't have, but that's like really cool. Like I can see like even a child wanting to take that thing. But a lot of the times when it's something basic, it's like on bigger scales, it's usually insecurity. Hi, Ein, the trans demon. Welcome in. If rule says X and you decide what the person that received is wrong, you can decide the rule is Y, as long as you both agree on it. Oh yeah, that's... Oh, you mean... that's like small claims court type things. Let me think. I don't know, guys. If you stole like $5,000 of shit from Walmart and they sue you, you don't get to decide what your punishment is, do you? But I think in small claims court, at least here, that's like a dispute. That's not even like a full-on legal case. That's just a dispute. That's like y'all and somebody else was fighting over something, and you fought so hard you need a judge to help you decide. But that's different than like laws to me usually. Nox, how was your therapy session? It was alright. I don't think I got a lot of leeway. I felt like she talked about herself too much that today. But I think I'm also just in a bad mood because of my mood stabilizer thing. you're doing good. You do, not you alone, of course. You and the other part. Well, yeah. But that's small claims court. That's not how it works here, at least, as far as I know. Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good, yeah. We were talking about political things because I just had my government homework. And I apologize if I'm getting too passionate. Hold on, I gotta think about these little... Am I crazy, guys? Wait, is Dapper right? Do you just get to talk it out when you, like, break a law? Because it never seems like you get to talk it out here. It seems like the lawyer gets to talk for you, right? And the lawyer's just making a case for you, right? And then the jury decides on what you do. How much money you got? What do you mean? Me? Or the person in the case? Is that what you're saying? It depends on how much money you got? Because I was just like, that's a deciding factor, methinks. Well, but you know, like, if you have a lawyer, the lawyer fights for you, yeah, and tries to share your side of the story, but in the end, it's the jury that decides. It's the community that decides, right? Breaking the law, breaking the law. I hate that I know that song. I play it all the time. But yeah, you know, like, I don't know. I was like, that's not how it works here. You don't get to steal shit and then talk it out. I guess if you think of the lawyer as talking it out, sure. As I said, if it's small claims and there's not like a jury, but such a funny song to break the law to. We breaking the law out here. Anyway, how did I get there? Morality. I don't like when people force, like, it confuses me that some people think that should be the job of the government, but like protecting basic human rights should not be the job of the government. Like, how are they separating morality and social order from like basic human rights? That's what's fucking me up about this whole thing. I'm like, I feel like left and right don't make sense. Like, they should just be one thing, and we should just decide that people deserve to be treated equally and we should have community and get along. But they broke it into these two sides, and I'm just like, bro, neither y'all are making a lot of sense on this one. One's making considerably more than the other, don't get me wrong, but having these two things be divided doesn't make sense to me. I'm so confused. I'm just like, well, how is this an argument? But another thing he said in the podcast was that when you feel something is morally wrong, it's like a gut feeling, like it's like innate. And I was like, I don't know that I feel that way about facts. I get that vibe about like I don't know. He said a lot of things in that podcast that made me feel like I wasn't a human. Right? Like it made me feel like the way I think about things is like so weird, right? Like as I'm not, maybe it's because my parents are immigrants. I'm not as politically polarized as some people in America, which is a very politically polarized country. But he said, where was I? What was he describing? I don't remember. What did I say what I was talking about? I don't remember. I don't think I did, but he was just saying all this shit, and I was just like, man, if you stole something, you're a lawyer and the other lawyer, or possibly both as people, although it's harder to define it in an option. That's the same for both. There's no jury to involve. The jury is just about if you say an option and the other says a different option, and they have to decide which is best. If both of you have the same option, it makes no sense to vote on it. People being polarizing in America. Okay, hold on, let me read Dafa saying. Okay, guys, I believe this is what we were talking about. Okay, hold on. So what Dafa is saying, I feel like usually then people here just don't agree on the same resolution. I don't like the lawyers try to hash something out. Usually that's when it's like solved outside of court, right? Or there's like a settlement given. But most of the time it's two people fighting and they disagree forever. Compromise is very I feel like compromise is pretty rare unless it's small claims. Okay, sorry. Because I'm just like, if you get convicted of a crime, like, depending on what this, like, and you can't, like, your lawyer can negotiate your sentence for you, right? But you can't negotiate your sentence, and the lawyer is different to me. Conviction is different, it's penal. Okay, so I think what you're saying is, like, you're talking about small claims court, and I'm talking about normal court. Which, like, a lot of things do happen in small claims courts. No, civil cases. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I was thinking, when I think of small claims courts at court, I do think of civil cases. I'm not as educated on all that as I should be, probably. Well, about as educated as the average American, probably. I have not had to go to court. I probably should learn about that because I'm being sued, but the only thing I learned was that there's a specific court for bankruptcy. That's all I know. I'll probably have to learn more about that. I need to talk to the lawyers I wanted to go with again. Anyway, I don't want to think about objection. um, Polarizing. There was something he said though that was like really specific. Excuse me. I don't. It's gone out of my head. Um. But yeah, I don't know. I wish we could all get along. I know that's pretty simplified, but damn, like, and I do fall into that trap of thinking the other side is like irrational. That might be because I relatively believe in science. I think they treat science like it's a religion, which concerns me greatly. But I also do understand that, like, for a lot of people, it's just about like how the people around them react and what they are ingesting as far as media goes, their opinions. I just want to live in a place where me and the people I love don't have to fear for their lives and livelihood every day, right? Isn't that just like basic needs? It's just like, man, I wish I could just, I wish I lived in a place where I didn't have to like live in fear, right, for my lives and livelihood. But I also wish I lived in a place where I had time and energy to, like, I don't know, relax sometimes. That's it. That's all. I don't even want to relax all the time. I'm a workaholic. I love to work. But I'd love to have time to I work they would I where they have worldviews that are entirely reactive, like it's a long series of excuses for ingrained behavior. Yeah, that's probably why they're called reactionary. The main difference is penal is agreed on being collective against you, armed robbery if you commit that. There are two cases: the civil part you had, and that sounds like a felony. You are and the person you robbed, and the penal part you against the collective because people are distressed by your actions. The first civil results in money exchanges. The second penal results in liberty. Being temporarily revoked from you, condition, and so on. They're handled for two different things. Yeah, civil sounds like the same as small claims court. Honestly, it's all about having a happy personal life. Being here in the stream and drawing with you is so much funsies. Also had a couple beers. That helps. I'm like not. I've somehow generally managed to not be super stressed out by the world. Like I've really protecting your peace is extremely important. I will always say protect your peace. Because if you don't have that, if you can't find your peace, then how will you function? Like, it's very difficult to be able to function when you don't know how to relax or find any hope or faith in the world. So whatever you need to do that, I definitely would start there. I I don't know if I'm an optimist or what. I'm pretty good at being able to find hope in things in life. But things like this like fire me up because I guess it's just like it's something I didn't know that people like looked at it that way, right? It's opening my eyes to different things, and man, this month has really, well, not this month and last month have really been like showing me how like the ways people think about things and like how hateful they can be, and like I guess that my point of view is a little naive on as far as like that we can all get along. I like still want to believe we can, but it's rough. It's hard out here, man. I still like to hold on to the if we could just talk about it, it would be okay type thing. But sometimes it's hard. Um what you said about how people treat science like it's a religion is so fucked, but sounds pretty right. Yeah, it's like it is though. Like they think about like scientific facts and history as if they're like malleable and people have molded them to be what they want to be. And part of that, like especially here in America, is definitely rooted probably in the South, and how the South has a different version of history than the North, because they kind of like they were like, oh, the Civil War is about us wanting to keep slaves, and then after the Civil War, they were like, no, no, no. Actually, it was just about us wanting to, keep our rights to keep slaves. But a lot of it is like rooted in that history, and like they don't want to look at the history. They're like, oh, that was so long ago. Because, and I, as I said a few, like another stream, I was like, I think a lot of it is that they can't handle dealing with what their ancestors have done because they have not done any of the generational trauma work. Like those what are they? I want to say hippie ass white women, suburban white women that are so into spirituality and they talk about generational trauma. I don't think they ever talk about generational trauma in that way, where I'm just like, have you come to terms with the fact that as an American, your ancestors benefited from slavery? Or have you just brushed it under the rug and been like, my mom and my dad and my grandma and them, they all like had abusive relationships with each other, and that's what I'm working on? But have you ever thought about the bigger picture thing, like the society that they grew up in was fucked? No? Okay. Look what they did over a single beer can sent to a trans woman. It almost feels like a sport to argue for some people. I don't know what that story is. I don't know if I want to. It's also like fucked and weird that different religion equals bad to so many of those folks. Yeah, but that's how they were raised, right? They think that your religion like reflects who you are as a person, right? Like that's their shorthand for whether or not you're a good person. It's not a good shorthand by any means. And it's very much based on, thank you for the follow. It's very much based on like living away from different types of people, in my opinion. But it like rural mindset, you don't interact with those people, so you hear bad things about them, you hear that they're bad people, you assume them to be true. Hi, Dr. Pirate. um but yeah, no, I think, what are you supposed to do for that? It's not like you decided to be born. It makes no sense to live with those thoughts, in my opinion. That's what white people always think. It's stupid. Don't think that way. Your history is important and you cannot escape it. You can try to burn it, you can try to erase it, you cannot escape it, because that is what we live in right now is built upon, right? And I think white people don't know how to accept it. They want to brush it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen, and I'm just like, bruh, just like, you need to sit and come to terms with it and be all right with it. Like, yeah, my ancestors did some fucked up shit, and probably because of the society they lived in, I have generational trauma of, man, how does it feel to grow up, for my ancestors to grow up in a society where it was normal to brutalize other human beings? Like things like that. I'm like, you sit with it, think about it, analyze how that may have affected the behavior of your family members. Like it. I don't know. Maybe I'm too intellectual about it. But of my blissful ignorance. Have you ever seen the show in Hoarders? The person who had books with larvae in them, and it made me realize, wow, this world is crazy. People do have like mental issues and traumas and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I think talking about things and thinking about things helps. It's an extremely weird white person thing to be so personally defensive of stuff other people did. Your grandparents' shitty behavior has nothing to do with you. Stop defending them. No, 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 no. I don't want you to think that your grandparents' shitty behavior is not defensible, right? I think it's the way in which they defend them, right? If your grandma is super racist, right? Yes, she is a product of the system and where she grew up in, and I do not expect her to be exceptional and to have been like, wow, you know what? Those black people deserved rights and everyone around me was wrong. I don't expect that. I don't expect that. What I expect is for you to be like, damn, you know what, grandma, that was fucked up. Don't argue. You don't even have to argue with a woman that's like 60 to 80 years old, right? You don't have to argue with her. But I think it's important to just sit with it within yourself and be like, how has that shaped how she treated my parents, the people around us? Like, how has that shaped her worldview and therefore has shaped my mom's and mine? Those sorts of things, right? Like, just pretending it didn't happen doesn't help, but in my opinion. But, like, I'm having to accept my own privilege as someone who is the uh is the generational product of a slave owner and a slave. I have to realize, I didn't realize when I was younger, right? But I'm realizing that that actually gave us a leg up in the world that other people did not have, because he married her and they had land and they had some money, and like, that gave us a leg up in the world. So I have to expect, like, damn, even my family has benefited from the slave trade. Not to say it was a good thing, but to say that you have to be like, okay, I benefited from the hurt of other people. And that colorism and racism and generational trauma mixed up in there affects me. I think that's it. Is like, white people aren't raised to believe that it affects them at all. I'd like to discuss that more. I think it's okay to reflect on, as it is for everyone to reflect on history as a whole, no matter the ancestry, but also understand it's probably not really a topic for stream. I mean, I don't think it's not a topic for stream, depending on how you go about it. But, because, like, I don't know, I get pretty political at this point. At this point in my life, it's, as long as we're not doing anything crazy, I'm okay. And if you don't throw out anything that's super wild card and out there, which I guess I'm throwing out things that are kind of out there to some people, but I don't know, man. Just, and as of a certain 2 minutes, but I don't know. Just like, I'm a very, like, meditative person. This is a great convo. Well, thank you. I'm a very meditative person. So sitting with feelings and thinking about them and observing them is define out there. I will have to defend you, or what's the word? Compromise with you if you say something more conservative than the scope of the stream. Does that make sense? Like, I'm gonna have to do some mental gymnastics there, which I can do, but I'm just saying it might. I don't know how everyone else will feel about it. Let's put it that way. Opens fourth beer. Don't drink too much, Beagle. Slow down, my man. Yeah, I don't know. It's something I would like to know more about from an white American standpoint, is like, how do you feel about the what has happened, how it's affected you, and look at it from, like, a compassionate point of view. I don't think they get to see it to be seen from a compassionate point of view with it, and I think that's where that hatred and that hurt comes from. Is they're just like, well, I'm just being told that what my family did was bad, and that makes me bad, and that makes everything I've known about life bad, and I don't know how to accept that. And I'm like, okay, let's take it back. 'Cause I'm not saying everything's bad. I'm not saying everything, like, a thing that he said in the podcast, I think, was, it's so important to know that, to be able to see, and I think it's called moral humility, to be able to see that someone can be a good person and disagree with you. And I was like, wait, some people can't do that? Some people can't realize that you can be a good person and do bad things, or you can be a good person and have fucked up viewpoints? Like, maybe it's my like how I had to grow up around people that are extremely racist, but I'm like, yeah, you can be a good person to certain people, right? That's got to be a thing that people can see, right? Also, an ad, the ad's about to start, but I'm like, nuance, my friends, nuance. Like every person you know is a different type of person to someone else. That doesn't mean they're that's a bad thing necessarily, but no one is like a one-dimensional person. It depends on literally all the way down to, oh my god, do these two people get along? Right? So many disputes are just, damn, these motherfuckers don't like each other. That's okay. You don't have to like everybody. You don't have to want to like everybody. You just have to respect other people. Eugene, see, I knew you were scratching that. Scratching my chair. Okay, yeah, I mean, just that having ancestors that had slave trade has to be thought of as being someone born in a country where they launched 2 nuclear weapons on civilian cities. In my honest opinion, it's all correct. It's just probably more immediate about than any of us have life for. Choosing which parts of you weigh more as a personal choice. We're in a country where they lost 2 nuclear weapons on civilian cities. Oh, you mean like, okay, I see what you mean now. Like, do you mean, oh my god, what is it called? Hiroshima and them. That was too vague for me. Sorry, GG is like all over me. Um, that is not something I like. That is out of my scope, right? The truth is that slave owners were a minority among Americans, so not many people benefiting from owning slaves, but a lot of people benefited from the ability for major commodity producers being able to own slaves. What most people actually benefited from was lawfully protected racism. Okay, no, hold on. People didn't directly benefit from slaves in the fact of owning them, but you're right, they benefited from them as a commodity, but they also benefited from them in the form of jobs, right? So a lot of things that, like, you have people that worked, the white people that worked on the plantation, it was just black people. They had white people watching them. You had the people that lent money for people to buy slaves, so the banks. That's usually the only thing my professor said that I remember is the bank people. But like a lot of industries were literally based on it, so it also your family benefited from it economically, not just even from a material standpoint, but from a job financial standpoint. So I think a lot of people don't think about like, yeah, no, maybe my family didn't own slaves, which I think is unlikely. Well, okay, in based on where my parents came from, it's unlikely for a white person to have not owned slaves. Here, it's not unlikely, but it's likely that you were very in close contact with an industry that made money from it, or you had a black person like that worked in your house, or that you had a black person that had to be your nanny or something like that, right? Like those smaller things, especially after the Civil War, were a lot more normalized, right? Yes, I'm getting at. Like your clothing and other goods were cheap and affordable because the raw materials were produced by slaves. Yes, but you also like had the job, right, to make those things and sell those things, and like the entire economy, I guess I'm saying, was based on it. Um, but I think we're talking about the same thing. We're just saying it two different ways. Um, I don't think as many. There's sorry, man. If you don't think so, you should check where things come from more. Oh, no. Yeah, no, I don't think Doctor was saying that, but, no, lawfully protected racism. Okay, I don't think as many people benefited from lawfully protected racism. At least I haven't gotten to that chapter yet in history, so I don't know. But I don't think as many people benefited from racism as we think they did. I don't think racism was beneficial on a whole to a lot of people, even white people, right? Like, I think it benefited immigrant white people in that it meant there was a class lower than them where they weren't on the bottom of the barrel. And it benefited quote unquote elites, I guess I could call them, because it kept people divided, right? I don't think anyone really benefited from racism except rich people. That's my opinion. I think people just felt like it was better, right? And I think that's because it didn't like aggravate those feelings that they haven't what's the word, addressed, right? Like systemic racism is such a thing, right? Because I think it's so funny to think that you can have, how long did it go on for, like 400 years? That you can have a culture based around something for 400 years and expect it to evaporate in like 100 to 50 to 100. Excuse me. And I think it's like, it's unrealistic to expect all that hatred to go away. And I think the North maybe didn't know how to handle it. I don't think anyone knew how to handle it's like unprecedented. There's no way to know how to handle it. But it was something that couldn't necessarily, well, it couldn't necessarily have been met with violence. I mean, in some cases it was, but it would have killed way more people, even more like than the Civil War already had killed. And how should I say this? I'm also trying to not get my cat to jump on the desk. It wasn't a problem that anyone knew how to solve, but I think we still aren't solving it because, as I said, there's something broken in white people that has not been addressed, in my opinion. White Americans, I should say. That it's just not been addressed. Like, oh boy. As I said, I think it's gotta fuck you up to grow up in a society where being a psychopath is a normal occurrence. You know, like that, the amount of mental gymnastics there, it's not all right. Like the amount of lies you had to tell yourself, and then to be suddenly told that's not true, and to be told by the people that kicked your ass. Like I can see where that resentment came from. And I can see where, like, instead of it like going away, it just kind of became like pent up and buried, you know, like they had to bury it more and more and more. And I think that's why they hate social justice, is they're just pressing down this unresolved thing that they haven't looked at. No, I know, I'm just trying to show that it's the big scheme of things. It's more important to think what effects are still in history, not really as an ancestry, right? Well, right now we're only talking about ancestry, really, and history, rather than just the whole slice of the whole pie. We're looking at slices. It takes a while to make people not see others as humans anymore, as it's something that needs a lot of repair and care. Yeah, exactly. Like it's, as I said, the mental gymnastics I had to have taken to, and like the complex feelings I had to bring up, because you know, like a lot of the slave women were R-worded. And so you're gonna have to think you're seeing someone as not human, but you're attracted to them. But you have this weird power dynamic over them. But you also have their life in your hands. Like the amount of mental gymnastics, I'm telling you, man, this had these people fucked up for 400 years. They are telling themselves, oh, all humans deserve rights, and treating other humans like animals, but also seeing them as humans in other ways. And I'm sure it fucked them up real hard. I'm sure that's not easy to repair from, right? And I don't know. I think that's where a lot of the resentment comes from, is like, and I don't want to baby them. I'm not gonna say it. Don't say the word. I was saying R-worded. But I think that's where a lot of it comes from, man. Is like I don't mean to make them like sound like victims, because obviously they're not victims in the situation. Like not on a whole. But did that not fuck them? Like they did it to themselves, don't get me wrong, but did that not fuck them up? Yeah, that fucked them up for sure. And I don't think we know how to repair that yet still. I think that's where we are as a people, is like we don't know how to fix that. Like honestly, my people, like the way we bounced back, like goddamn. Okay? Like we showed them. Okay? Like yes, we still have the trauma and everything, but that little dance we had to play for them for the past I don't know how many years it's been. 200 almost years. Because when did they get? They get freed in 18 something, I think. 100 to 200 years, right? Um, the amount that black people like sprung back, like like is amazing, right? From the amount of beating they got. Um, and I think Juneteenth was like the 1860s. So what is that? 40 and then 140, 100 and really like 170, right? Years or something. Anyway, almost somewhere between 150 200 years. Um the amount of progress we've made is honestly astounding. Like I don't think anyone could have imagined. And I think white people were a little jealous of that. Like they were a little bit like, what the fuck, man? Like how, it shows them that their mindset was incorrect even more. And that just irritates that unaddressed feeling still. I like to think of time like this. No one is alive when that was alive then. Yeah, no one is alive that was alive then, but that doesn't mean we can't look back on it and analyze what they were doing and how they felt about things. But as I said, I'm not even trying to think of it in a way that's like. I always felt like my gen grew up without racism. Is that messed up to think? It, it's not messed up to think, but it is a lie that I think was propagated very heavily, especially in my generation, millennial. They really tried to patch it up and pretend that we were all friends and no one was ever racist ever, right? They were like, "That's the thing of a past," and I think that racism didn't exist is more naive than messed up, right? Thinking of one black city that was razed to the ground because they were doing well. Yep, I don't recall the name off the top of my head. They also tried to make it sound so far away. Yeah, there was that, and there was I think they literally bombed one. I think that's the only time they've ever bombed America. I think they bombed I don't remember where it was, but yeah, probably is. I mean, I'm in Italy and I see there's stuff like this. I really doubt it wasn't so even in America. Um, doubt that there wasn't racism. Yeah, no, I don't think it's messed up to think that way, but I think it's naive and you should maybe educate yourself more on systemic racism because there's probably a lot of things happening behind the scenes that you're not aware of. And being informed is very helpful to everyone involved, in my opinion. But for you to think racism didn't exist, I can't assume your ethnicity, but I can assume a certain amount of privilege. That kind of ignorance is very comfy and nice, though. It is. I mean, George Floyd was like 5 years ago. I don't know how old you are, but there's definitely racism. Well, if you're saying when you were growing up, right? I'm a millennial, so when I was growing up, George Floyd and Trayvon Martin was like, I don't know. I think I was 15 or 16 or something. But I'm talking about like under that age. Media really tried to present it as if racism was a thing of the past. At least when I was a kid, that I remember. You know, 80s to 90s, I feel like they were really pushing, oh, this isn't a problem anymore. So and as I said, if you grew up, you have a certain amount of privilege, you know, Central Park 5 was like 2010. I don't know what that is. See, I don't even know what that is. Central Park 5. I don't even know if I ever heard of that. Yeah, I never heard of this. This was like when I was 12. It sounds like a story my parents would have told me, but it wasn't like on the news. I didn't watch the news. My parents didn't talk about it to me. I don't know what this is. And wrongly convicted. Oh, yeah, no, I didn't hear about that. It was huge. I was like, well, 2010. How old was I? No, 2010. I was 15. Didn't hear about it at all. Close friend's grandma told me that she saw a lynch, of a kid, and I was like, that horrid fight for the rest of life. That ain't that far off in years. Yeah, that's not. It's not that far off. Man, I was trying not to say that word. Damn it. Oh well. Wrongful hanging. But yeah, no, that's not. No, it's okay. I just don't want to say it verbally. Um. But yeah, no, it's like it's not that far away. But and I know we say that, right? But they don't get it. They don't get the not that far away part. But I think the part we don't talk about is the part that it's like unresolved, right? It's like, okay, I think I don't know. If I were in therapy with one, right, I'd have to be white to do this, sadly. So I can't. But I'd be like, okay, let's be honest. No, no, there's no recordings in here. Blah 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 blah. How do you feel about people of color? You know, like, and they would be defensive at first, and I'd be like, well, do you think they're more likely to do this? Do that, and I would maybe even play devil's advocate a little bit. Be like, well, yeah, but they're known to do this and they're known to do that. And I think that's the thing, like, you'd have to get down to the root of it and just be like, okay, but why do you think these things? Like, have you experienced that much of these things? Like, what has given you this perspective? But I feel like right now we wouldn't, because we pretend racism is a thing, we wouldn't be able to get that data. But I think it's something that, I don't know, they need to think about as a people, how to grow from that, because I don't think they're evil. I don't think they were like the scum of the earth. The like we can joke, right? But I don't actually think of them as like, the Fire Nation of the earth necessarily. They kind of are historically, but I don't think they're like inherently bad, right? I think they take all the sins they have on their shoulders as being seen as inherently bad, and that's not it. Um, I think it's just dealing with that trauma. I saw a fucking crash out of a friendship recently where the person was like, "Well, those guys were saying those oh god, those blacks that cause in that area, it's dangerous because of black people, and it's okay that my friend's racist because she was once shoved by a black guy." Wow, Fire Nation got some sympathy arcs. Yeah, it did. No, but okay. But see, like, that's the thing that's why I want to get down, and I want them to really be honest with themselves. I'm like, you don't have to tell me, but you need a journal. You need to get it out, right? You don't like these people. That's okay. I'm not even going to say, I'm not going to say anything about it being bad, because first you have to accept it, right? You have to accept that it's there. In some capacity, you think these people are bad inherently. Like, it's in your gut, right? You just got to acknowledge it, because that is generational, in my opinion. Wouldn't generational trauma count both ways? Like, white people saying or XYZ because they are white, same as patriotism. Generational trauma is both for black people and white people. It's for everybody involved. I wasn't saying it was just white people, but like, black people already know we have generational trauma. Everyone knows we have generational trauma. The word generational trauma probably was coined by us, to be fucking honest. I don't know that it was, but I'm just saying. There were the most obvious ones. So but like, I've heard, like, or at least it looks at it, knows it exists. Yeah, no, I think when white people think of generational trauma, they don't want to talk about that aspect of it, of the racism aspect. I'm like, bro, that is an inherent part of your generational trauma. Is like, you hate these people and you think we're evil for, you don't even know why. It's just something you subconsciously grew up with. Generational trauma, as you stated, seems to be what converts racism into statistics. No, 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 no. No, generational trauma is just bad things that your ancestors have experienced, that that has been carried down through the generations to you. Certainly, it's valid to form a prejudice against a certain type of people if you were assaulted by someone like that, but like, you need to recognize it's crazy to hold that against everyone like that and do some self improvement. Yeah, no, 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 but no, that is not. Oh my god, I love how that was not allowed, redneck. Rednecks are assholes sometimes, but hold on. That in that context, what I heard was, being shoved is a way to justify something I already felt, right? Automatrain, like, that is such a weak statement that I'm like, if you're of sound mind, that is not your actual reasoning for that. That is your excuse that you're telling yourself, right? You already didn't like these people. right? Like you already thought they were bad, whether it was from media, news, TV, accounts that you've heard, right? Like you already had that in your brain. You just didn't feel comfortable talking about it until you had a reason, quote unquote, right? That is your excuse. And that's why I'm saying, no, it's okay to feel that way. Because guess what? You cannot force yourself to change how you feel. You can't. You can't just like do it through brute force. Like, I'm most thinking about something is stressing a reason to run action. Yeah. And like, you already felt that way. That's okay. We're going to talk about it. But we don't have we don't really even have like a framework for it, for healing that sort of thing, you know? Like, I don't know why we don't, actually. That's a huge thing we should have a framework for. But I'm just like, yeah, you can't force yourself to like these people, but you have to look at why you don't like them and just ask yourself, is this true? Where did I get this from? Um, and why do I believe this so strongly? Like, why is it so deep in my soul? I think you can change your actions, that you can recognize, hey, this is irrational, and I have to change how I feel about this. Not how I feel, how I act about this. But forcing yourself to change how you feel just seems ridiculous. There are cool psychological studies about that, like split brain things, but I don't remember if it was from your stream too. Yeah, no, I know the split brain one, that didn't have anything to do with racism. That was your left brain, right brain. They rev their ATVs, and one broke into our shop last week and stole metal from. Bruh, they do be stealing metal though. They love to steal. I don't know what the fuck they doing with that metal. I'm sorry, my parents had a there was a trailer on one of on a property they own. And it was abandoned. They tore off every piece of metal off of that. It was in a trailer. It was mobile home. They tore every piece of they tore that thing down. It's demolished. It was gone. Last time we went up there, it was completely gone. There was no trace of it. I don't know what they steal metal for, but they love metal. They're building killdozers. I don't know what they love metal. I'm like, homie, what are you even using it for? No, it was about racism. It was about brain just setting up for a reason for something that was not conscious. Oh, okay. Motherfuckers recycle every ounce of alloys for like 2-cent beers. Yeah, copper is expensive. Yeah, they be stealing metal, man, for real. And they do rev their ATVs. That is annoying. They're very annoying with that. But like, those aren't reasons for me to dislike rednecks. Those are just annoyances, right? I mean, I don't dislike Haitians for waking me up in the middle of the night for a ritual where I saw this man like laying down under a sheet. And yeah, no, I don't blame them for that. I'm just like, damn, that was something that happened. So I'm not like, wow, all Haitians are like inconsiderate and will wake you up in the middle of the night with a loud ritual. You dislike them because they recycle? I dislike them because they steal to recycle. But I don't dislike them, actually. I actually have nothing against rednecks. They have stuff against me. I don't have anything against them. They have a lot against me. I more have like a physical fear about them. Because of them like having things like Confederate flags on the back of their cars. That was a common thing in Tennessee, which is why I will always stand by Texans are less racist, at least to black people, than Tennesseans. Tennesseans are bad. Tennesseans are rough. Okay? You know what? I hear a lot of people come in here from Texas. I've not seen one from Tennessee in quite some time. Yeah, they're rough. They're really rough. But I think that's also what gives me this like this mindset of, you know, like they're people too. They're just raised on some bullshit. Because like they never bothered me or hey, they never bothered me or my family other than stealing that shit from that property. Like they weren't like they didn't harass us. Let's put it that way. They didn't harass us or anything. And my parents actually are friends with some of them. It's a very weird dynamic. So any take on it? King of the Hill taught me Texans can be a kind, gentle people. They are people too. It's just a funny statement in this context. Yeah, they are people too. They just have their own traumas, bruh. I think I talked about this on another stream, but a lot of the like protect the kids panic is like directly tying into these people's traumas. I swear to God. Hey, what is it, Gigi? Why are you tapping me? Sorry, Gigi wants attention. I don't know if he wants food, but he shouldn't get more food because he's getting fat. Because there's so much trauma in just in the South in general, I feel like with there's so much like sexual trauma, familial trauma, all this stuff, and I think when they think of protect the children, it's literally triggering that in their brain. They're like, "Oh my god, we have to protect the children. We can't have it be like so and so." And I'm just like, y'all are literally taking advantage of these people's traumas. For real though. Because you notice how it's always about protect the children with them? Trans healthcare, what was I gonna say? Like immigrants with drugs and criminals and all that stuff. Most of it's to protect children. And I'm gonna be like, bruh, I know you weren't protected as a child, and I'm sorry, but you cannot be projecting that onto everybody. I have too many things to say to them that would honestly like trigger them. What? You can't have more food. You cannot have more food. You're getting too fat. No. No, you're getting fat. You're like, what does fat mean? You're just always like manipulating people's traumas. Yeah. With the Canadian dealers discourse from Trump, that was hilarious to hear. I didn't hear that. But I don't listen to him speak either. Um I just I don't like to absorb that type of energy, you know. But Gigi, I'm not feeding you again. You were literally gaining weight. No. You used to be slim and lean. What is happening? Okay. He's probably about to scratch up the carpet to upset me. Hold on, wait for it. Okay, now he's sitting. I thought he was gonna do it. They're saying they're drug deals that come from our borders. Speaking of Canadians, yeah. No, they do that. They do that with everybody. But yeah, no, it's always, bruh. And then as for drugs with rednecks, bruh, talking about drug dealers and they be like cooking up meth and shit. Talking about drug dealers. Oh my god. I don't know. Maybe they're like, yeah, I tried cousin whatever tried weed one time, and suddenly now he's on meth. That stuff brings you right. That's just a gateway drug, and I'm just like, homie, I don't think that's why he's on meth. Yeah, but ours is natural stuff. No. Well, I mean, they grow that too. Don't get me wrong. But like for real, I'm just like, it's just because cousin Jimmy got on the meth after trying weed, I'm pretty sure it was to cover up his childhood trauma. So I'm just saying, I don't think that's the root cause of the issue. It sounds like the devious work of a Reagan admin. My cousin Bobby lost all his teeth from this smoke it. Yeah, and I'm just like, bro, I know you got like some serious issues, bro, but I like the redirection. Oh my god. Oh my god, wait, I think I figured it out. I know therapy you. Meth? Hmm. No, I figured it out. It's cognitive dissonance. That is their generational trauma. I got it. I was gonna say critical thinking, and I was like, no, that's you're getting kicked out. You're getting kicked out. You're getting kicked out, sir. You're not getting more food, fatty. I generally don't want him to get fat. I'm really concerned about him gaining weight. No, but I probably need to just take him to the vet and be like, he's gaining weight. Why is he gaining weight? And they'll be like, he's diabetic. And I'll be like, no! You know, it's funny you say, but it wouldn't surprise me if it costs less if you don't have insurance in America. It does. It does cost less. That is one of the biggest issues. But no, cognitive dissonance. Because that's why these things they have don't make sense. Like the conservative mindset of, I don't want I want limited government, but I want government to get into my personal life. You know, like I want the government to protect me with guns. I need guns. But at the same time, at the same time being like, oh, but moral and social order, you know? And I'm like, y'all have a lot of cognitive dissonance, and I think that's their generational trauma is like this concept of having to hold dual realities, right? One of them not really, like maybe both, not really making sense, but you have to have two of them because you can't look at the whole picture because of trauma. Hold on. It's the absolutely wild train of logic some people have, though. Well, he's doing meth now, and he smoked weed before that, so it must be the weed that made him an addict. That'd be like, your cat has five. Five what? 4, 3, 2. Oh my god. What was I gonna say? I was thinking Gigi, I guess. But, like that's also a thing, a really big propaganda I think people like, especially like, I don't know, this has probably been going on since like the 60s, right? This concept that people just get into drugs, right? Like it's just like, oh, someone like they just happened to try it and they got addicted. And I'm sure that happens sometimes, but I feel like for most people, the reason they get addicted is because they have issues that it covers up. Just like alcoholism, you don't just start it because you gave in. I'm just glad alcohol is so safe and non-addicting because it's everywhere. Yeah, it's like it's not you like you just gave in to Satan, right? It's not that. You're covering something up. And if we attributed it more to emotional health and the mental health issues, perhaps we wouldn't see it as like a lack of discipline. I'm sorry, I'm on a high horse tonight. That fucking podcast got me fired up, man. They're not dumb. No, they're not dumb. It's not, I wouldn't call it stupidity. I'd literally call it cognitive dissonance because I've experienced it where you cannot see the reality because trauma won't allow you to, right? Like you have safety mechanisms in your brain, right? And if it's not safe for you to realize something, you cannot see it in a lot of cases, right? Some people escape it. I'm not going to say everybody, but with like familial trauma and like if you're growing up in a community where you're forced to see things a certain way, even if it doesn't make sense, that causes cognitive dissonance to me. If I'm remembering that phrase correctly, right? Where you're just like you're having to lie to yourself about reality. You have to be one, the other, or both. I think there's generational trauma about lying to yourself about reality. Oh my god, maybe that's why they're not blunt like people of color. Like you know how like they'll hold stuff in when they have family issues, but people of color will just like throw it out there. You know, like they'll just say some out of pocket shit. Honestly, half the time, I don't know. I'm maybe speaking from Jamaicans. They'll say some out of fucking pocket shit that no white woman ever would speak. No, they say some out of pocket shit. And like white people are the opposite where they just like try not to talk about it most of the time. Feels much more like about manipulation, which is fair. It's a form of trauma too. Yeah, no, manipulation does cause trauma, especially if you're a child, right? But as I said, like that's it. That's they're holding two realities, quote unquote. One of them is ridiculous and the other one is reality. They can't fully see reality because of that overlay. Yeah, some people are definitely intelligent, but they refuse to believe something even when there's simple logic for them. Yeah, to me, that's like that is that cognitive dissonance, right? They might not have trauma with that aspect, right, of what they're talking about, but something about it is something they can't accept. And to me, that's even if it's logical, even if it's right in front of them, and to me, that's rooted in trauma. And then some people are dumb. I'm not gonna say that, but that nobody's dumb, but I don't like to focus on that. I don't like to call it people's intelligence because I think, like everyone can learn. If it's just that you're uneducated on something, you can become educated on it. That's fine. Like honestly, stupidity would be the least of the worries. I really think it's deeper than that. And I'm not saying like they had to experience something specific themselves either, like, but that you learn the cognitive dissonance from your parents, right? You learn that even though something isn't true, you have to believe it. Like it just gets embedded into the culture. And I'm just like, bruh, that's so fucked. I see it now. I see where it comes from. Because as I said, it's got to take a lot of mental gymnastics to justify slavery. And a lot of other things they did, right? But we're gonna just focus on slavery for simplicity's sake. And because it was probably the biggest like institution. And like my dad, I love him. He's a smart guy, but explaining to him some stuff to him, he just completely blanks on me. I can see it. He turns his brain off, just repeats himself. It's not him turning his brain off, probably. It's literally probably like the defense. It's a defense mechanism, right? Like if you're not aware that you're doing it, you don't see where the switch happens yourself. You don't know you're doing it. You're just like, this makes me uncomfortable. You start having that emotional reaction, that adrenaline, and your logical brain that was thinking about things is just like, no, 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 no. It's all emotion right now. Incompetence is at least half the problems that currently exist. I wouldn't downplay them. There's always someone out there. No. Incompetence to me isn't necessarily stupidity either. A lot of the time, incompetence is people not being properly educated, in my opinion. Like, yeah, some things are just like you had all the tools available to you and you still fucked up. But I don't know. I think a lot of people just don't have a lot of tools available to them. That, as I said, that might be the optimistic liberal point of view, but I believe a lot of people have a chance. And that some things are just inherent, that we all struggle with. It's just your background makes you struggle with it more. Dumb and incompetent are not synonyms. To me, incompetent means you can't you can't do a function properly, like a job properly. For instance, he'll vehemently tell me what he saw on the TV news is 100% true and has to be true because it was on the news. But in the same breath, he'll say, "Oh no, of course Fox News lies, though. Like, Dad, come on, please." I mean, that's just like someone that doesn't want to learn, right? He's probably been trusting this news outlet for the past I don't know how many years. So to him, it's like an old friend telling him something that has to be true, right? That's what I would assume for someone who's older, right? It's like this news channel you've always watched can't lie to you. Like, it would be illegal for them to lie in your brain. And I mean, I used to think when I was a kid that, the news couldn't lie, and now I'm just like an adult and I live in the horrible truth that news is bullshit, apparently. But, yeah. I think that's it. I think it's just that's where they got the news from, so like, it makes sense. It's literally called the news. It should be illegal. Not many laws about it though. Yeah, it should be illegal, but alas. Okay, should I take the letters off or should I keep them? I guess I should have an optional version, and see how I feel at the end. Gotta merge all the flowers, I think. Gonna erase some of the ribs and stuff. TV has changed so much over the decade. I'd be too scared to trust anything on cable anymore. But if you grew up with TV being the only option, I can see how it's hard to disconnect. And then instead you think that the internet is propaganda. I know that because my parents are like that. That my parents both think the internet is propaganda but trust Facebook. The ship one you already finished? No, I didn't. Like my parents like kind of like believe in Trump right now, and I'm just like disappointed. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't even fight them on it because they don't vote. But it's like, bruh, how are two black immigrants gonna be like, yeah, he's saying some things that make sense? I'm telling you, man, they just prey on people. It's not just the Republicans that do it too, but I think I don't know. I think I like to believe if more people were educated and knew what was happening or understood it or had interest in understanding it, you know. But we have a culture, and I don't remember which one brought this up. Maybe probably my government class. We have a culture where we think that politics means, I mean, the article said politics means left wing ideologies in America, but I don't think that's accurate. Not in the South. Politics means fighting in the South. That's what it means. Politics means we can't get along. We can't just like agree on anything. So I think it just means conflict here to a lot of, especially young people, and I think that's why they don't want anything to do with it. It's like it just brings on more cognitive dissonance too, especially the things they're told to listen to. It was a weird one because he lies almost every time he speaks, and yet people keep voting for him based on what he says. Yep. Sorry, I have a small rural brain. At this point, I can't imagine anyone saying what he says makes sense, not for his positions, even just for the physical statements that don't even connect with themselves. See, but the thing is, you have to be, like, paying attention to realize they don't connect. And if you're just hearing bits and pieces of, like, curated things he's saying, I can see how you'd, sorry, cats. I can see how you'd be like, okay, what he's saying kind of makes sense to me, or it benefits me. I'm curious if it's a similar case for you, but for my family, it's like far-right pro-Trump newscasted in their native language. No, it's my parents live around a bunch of rednecks, so it kind of like osmosis, and then they're listening to, they think the parts. There was something that she said about the World Health Organization and land or something, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But she had this idea that someone was gonna, like, the far left wanted to take her land or something, and I was like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. I've never heard of that in my life. And I'm pretty far left. I'm about as far left as you can go. So it's just like the misinformation is pretty strong. And seeing zoom ins of bruises on Trump's is so creepy. What's going on with his hand? Ew. I don't want to know. I think I saw a little bit of that and I was like, what the fuck? But isn't he also like sick? Doesn't he have vasculitis or something? Bruising could be a lot of things. Yeah, he has like vasculitis or some shit. I don't remember what it was called. But I will not say that I am, bothered by what is probably essentially becoming a disability or an illness for him. Boy, do I have opinions on how I'd like it to end, but I'm not gonna be like, something like on someone's body is creepy. I feel like that's kind of disrespectful. They said that he had venous insufficiency, but like I said before, that's probably a lie. Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't care. Like Biden too. I don't see an issue with that itself. Yeah, I don't see an issue with it. I more was just like, you know what? If anyone deserves to get sick, I was like, honestly, you're already too old to be in the office. All of them are too old. I guess age was kind of like related to wisdom, but obviously that's not working anymore. We're not putting the wise people in office. Trip, please. Trip, please. Like you want him to trip. That's a nice way of saying it. Just, have a little bit of a fall. Oh Lord, so true. Why the fuck are old people in the position of controlling one of the most powerful countries? I think in a lot of places, it is probably related to rent being too high to be a politician for people under a certain age. No. Because it's been like that since before rent was high. It's been that way since when people could buy houses that were my age. And I would have said before it was about like like getting an education, but apparently that doesn't mean anything here now. So I'm just like, get y'all's old decrepit asses. No disrespect to old people, but get y'all's decrepit asses out of this office chair. God damn, decrepit. Like not just physically but mentally. Here in Italy, it's about connection and people so it makes sense. Older people have more connections. I guess that's true. That does make sense. Oh my god, that's such a good emote. You're so good at animating. What the fuck? Did you rotoscope? I guess rotoscope might be the wrong word, but you know what I mean. Like, did you reference that? Ah, okay. I was like, that is way too smooth for imagination alone. I'm sorry. I should calm down. I have. Hi Tawny, how's stream going? It's going good. We've been a little blood pressure raising, I think. So I'm gonna try calm it down. But we were talking about generational trauma in white people that's never talked about. No, I am not white. I'm just speculating from the outside. Motion lines too. Oh yeah, you're right. The motion lines are good. Oh, that's cute. That's a very cute emote. Oh, it's a uni. That's very cute. I need to make some more emotes. I've been spending way too long on this one image. But it is very complicated. This is like this type of stuff I'll draw for myself though. It's always way too difficult. I also kind of want to reline some of the wolf. I started doing big emotes too. Yeah, you have to pay to use them. Yeah, you did such a good job on it. Yeah. Oh, I always forget to say thank you for the big emote. I don't know how to say it, but thank you. I know that costs money, so thank you. It's like bits, right? Thank you for the biddies. Okay, I think we're almost there. Okay, what do you guys think? Is Choose to Live too corny? Or should I just get rid of it? I kind of want the words to kind of like dissolve into the background a little bit, but 30 bits on your channel, yeah. Oh, okay. I like it. I don't know why I made this. That starts in 3 minutes. I don't know why I made this like this. Like I would love to say I had like a deep thought process behind it, but Choose to Live is powerful. Yeah, I was doing like motivational quotes, I guess. It originally said choose life, and I was like, no, some very bad people have taken that over, and I can't use it now. So it's gonna be choose to live. Oof. Yeah, isn't that oof? I heard the oof sound effect. I don't like this O. I want to learn the I'm going crazy. Thank you. Let me hide. No, let me lower the opacity of this one. I knew there was an extra little piece of line there. I'm trying to use my handwriting more. Trying to be more comfortable with it. It does add a lot of organicness to it, and it makes it like more accessible for me to add text to things like this. Like a font wouldn't work for this because it's like tied into the image. Plus you can set those effects as 10 bits and you can't turn them off. I didn't even know you could change the bits. Can't you just make it a normal command? Oh, okay, like, I see, like, those should be, like, switched in how they were said. Like, Daphne should have spoken first and then Necula. Because that answered the question. I mean, I don't really mind whether or not people have the option to do that. I didn't know I could change the price. Oh, you can do an on-screen celebration and message effects. Okay. Some people turn them off by making them cost $100, 10,000 bits. Bruh, what a flex that would be, though. What a flex that would be if someone just did that. You know someone would do that shit. Someone would do that shit in my channel at some point during a donathon or subathon. They would just drop mad stacks like that, and I'd be like, wow. And walk away. I would do that, and you feel like, yeah. You're like, well, this isn't how I wanted it to go. Or is it? There we go. Beeb. No, it's Toby. It's not Bebo. I already threw Bebo out. Do you want to go out, Tobin? Well, let me get this big boy out of here. Wait, so you can't turn them off? Is that a Twitch thing? I was under the impression it was Streamlabs or some other integration. No, it's Twitch. Oh, are the people in the pool being loud? Alright, come on, Tobin. Lift your butt. When you click below on the channel points, the first three things that pop up are the bits related to special effects in your chat. You cannot turn them off. Oh, okay. I am kind of like leaving these lines kind of shaky because I kind of like it that way. I'm sorry I got into such hard topics tonight. I haven't completely worn myself out, but I do realize how that could have been very draining, and I'm sorry. There are just some things that sometimes I feel like I need to talk about. I think generational trauma, that one is like one I really want to preach more. Just in case, I can inspire someone to take on that idea. I love imperfection in drawings, they give it so much personality. Yeah. I like shaky lines. Shaky lines are cool, I just don't do them because I don't know. There's almost like a corporate type of like style that I feel like you're expected to do with digital art. Just art in general, really. Yeah, I hate that L. The spacing is really fucked on it. But I think that was just how it would look no matter what I do, like even if it was a font. Are there two of these? Why are there two? What's the difference? Did I accidentally... That's it. Oh, this is the line. This is the sketch? Oh no, no it's not. It's the one I lowered the opacity on. They're exactly the same in every way from what I see, so I'm deleting one. I think I accidentally, created one duplicated it. God, I couldn't think. Well, I'm gonna hop off and make dinner. Thanks for streaming. Have a good weekend, y'all. Bye, Beagle. Thank you so much for watching. Ow. When I got up, I was like, oh, my body feels so good. Now I'm sitting down and I'm just like, my body hurts. Crunch, crunch, yeah. Very crunchy right now, unfortunately. I haven't considered changing the size. That's actually kind of cool. Let me make this a group. Oh no, I actually don't want to. It makes this. I'm just gonna merge these. It makes it stand out a little bit more. The actual picture. We're kind of taking it over. This one needs to be bigger, actually. Oh. I just thought about, like, adding a semicolon somewhere. I wonder if that's too much. Oh, I'm tired. Actually, instead of doing that, I'm gonna just put this on the bottom. I feel like this could be a little more pastel-y, actually. Mm. I don't want to color this. Now I'm getting sleepy too. I forgot about my food. Hold on. Be right back. Okay, I decided we're going back to the PC for this one. Oh wait, I forgot I was gonna input my time for that because I didn't. This is just skull dog. And then I was working on that for like 2 hours, I think. I guess 2.5. So let's say 10. No, 8. I started at 8. Not 8 a.m. You fool. 8:30. That's when I started. Okay. Okay, so this front wolf I don't like, so I'm gonna reline him, I think. Like, the style is just wrong compared to the other one. So I'm gonna try to make the style more like the second one. Ugh, I'm getting very sleepy, but I don't have a lot to do tomorrow, so that's good. I think, what was I gonna do? I was gonna make those Notion things. I guess I could stop in there a little JavaScript. I want to say I want to study Spanish in Spanish, but I don't remember which estudio to do. Estudio, estudiar, and I think there's another one. Yo soy estudiar. Estudio? I don't remember. Español. Just a little bit. Poquito? Poquito? Wow, this feels so different than on the iPad. I have to use more pressure. Maybe I just make the brush bigger. So, the people in the pool are being fucking loud as usual. I heard something that sounded like a speaker, and I was like, what the fuck? Okay, wait, was I using this brush or this brush? Or this brush? It might have been this one, actually. Could just adjust could adjust the pressure of the pen itself. That's true. That's true. I just don't even think I was supposed to be using that brush. I just couldn't remember which brush it was, but I think it's this variation. So I've got like 101 variations of the same brush. I am getting EP though. This one has like, the other one has like more soft lines mixed in with the thick lines. Damn, I wanna sleep. Okay, I need to make the lines thicker. Okay, now I did more like shark teeth in the front. I like the song so far, it's really different. I almost gave it and gave Gigi extra food. I might. How did I draw these teeth with such confidence? Yeah, these are totally shark teeth. I don't think I realized when I was drawing them. Those are shark teeth, alright. At least the style looks like it matches a little more now, I think. I know the mouths are like way too wide. That was kind of like a stylistic choice. Hey people. Oh, my brain is being bad again. That means it's about time to sleep. Alright, I am going to find someone to raid because I'm so EP. Oh man, everyone's playing. Well, someone's playing Hollow Knight actually. Oh, I wanted to play Hollow Knight. Good night work today. Raid. I am going to raid this person that probably doesn't remember me. I'm fucking sleepy too. It's okay, they're playing Hollow Knight. Good work today, good night. Yay, thank you. Alright, we'll see you guys tomorrow, question mark? Yeah, I should have time to stream tomorrow. I did most of my schoolwork. I should probably... No, I did... Oh wow, I went ahead too. Because the podcast wasn't due until Wednesday. Oh wow. Hold on, I might have to go in and change that, actually. I have two things I can cross off my list. Okay, so now I just need to... Oh yeah, that's pretty good for the week. Okay. Yeah, I can stream tomorrow for sure. And I cooked. I did a lot today. Yeah, I deserve some sleep. Maybe tomorrow we'll play Hollow Knight. I'd love to. Okay. Good night. These are totally spoilers. He's definitely further than me, but alright, good night.